Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Here is your Sensei Al Bob here at Dreamy Dreamland, and I'm here to tell you a story. I'm going to give one of our brothers a call here and see if he's around. Uh, Phone's ringing. I guess he might be on site. So here we are, the ends of June, going on to July. And I said that with the weirdness that's going on, that I wouldn't be surprised if aliens landed, um, you know, on the front lawn of the UN by the 4th of July, which is like 4th of July is going to be, I guess, Monday or Tuesday, a week from today ish, right? And but it's strange. That's all I can say. And I just got notified by PayPal that I have to declare myself. I am 500% under poverty level. I make $7,000 a year with my Social Security. That's how little Social Security I get. And so far, um, I have made $150 maybe through PayPal, and they want me to, declare that in federal income tax. I have no idea how to do that, but that's what it is. And the with the increase of the inflation, my piddling $700 a month. And then after the state of Tennessee takes my health care out, it's, 400 bucks, so 400 times, it's about 7,000, give or take. Um, and that's so under poverty level that it's ridiculous. And so my only access to a little bit of cheddar is being closed down, or I have to figure out how to. I have to talk to somebody who knows about law when taxes, what it is. So my eye surgery seemed to have gone well because I looked through the eye. It's like clear and crisp, and this one is still Vaselined, and so it seems that it's working. And in a few weeks, I'll go get the other eye done. But you know, again, I was saying how I'm not going to let this bother me. It is what it is. Um, and I live out in a very nice place, and I'm not really going. About worry. Are you hungry? No. You know, you have to worry rain on your head. No, right? So, are the bandits at the gate? No. So it is what it is, and God has always taken care of me because I serve love's co-creation, and you know, we aren't being told who and what we are. You know, we no one's mentioning, the um, alien agenda, and not talking about people from south of the border, and all of those folks who are trying to get in here. We are responsible. Back in the Jimmy Carter days and the Ronald Reagan days, we precipitated total chaos, and going all the way back to, Mr. You know, Henry Kissinger and Richard Nixon, you know, George H. Ronald Reagan. These are all people who started wars and conflict and disruptions of economics and environment in Central and South America. And we are reaping our harvest of this. And people who, because we have created such a toxic chaos there that the average person can't live there. I know we're responsible for it, yet we're not picking it up, right? And the same thing goes with Russia and Ukraine. We're responsible for that, and we're not picking it up, except making money by selling weapons, right? I get, giving the weapons to them, and the way it was set up, that this is scripted, and it's representing the unipolar global um, new world order, and who that is a good question. Look at David Icke, Max Igon, um, you know, dark journalism, truly graceful. These people are doing some excellent work, and they're younger than I am. They have access to technology and information that I really don't. All I can do is talk to you on the internet here on Dreamy Dreamland, and I tell you stories. I give you insights. I give you a heads up of what's going on, what you're going to have to deal with. And like I said, I've been talking about the big splat um, for 3 years, right? And not many people have. Jimmy Dore is another good person to go look at. He is always right on the edge of opening the door of what's going on, but never quite goes in. Almost seems like the like Marx and Engels worked for Mr. Rothschild, and they developed communism as a economic social philosophy as the loyal opposition. Meaning that's something. I mean, right now, just look at Russia. They are the loyal opposition. They are facilitating. They are creating the environment for a new world order to come about. Russia is making more money on its oil and gas than they did before the invasion. They're making more money on gold. Now we're not going to, buy their gold. Well, that'll just up the price and they'll make more money. I mean, this is such a scripted thing. The way the two Vlads, Vlad in Russia and Vlad in Ukraine, they're just going through the motions of war, and innocent people die, and whole cultures are being destroyed. And at the end of it, Russia will be again picked up for nickels and dimes by the unipolar oligarchy. And who's running it right now? Vlad um, Putin. He works for them, right? And all the oligarchs, um, they work for him. They're holding the money. They are laundering it, right? And all this is coming out of your pocket. Meaning, I feel it really seriously. Meaning, it's amazing how in the last last year, I could because I don't buy anything or have anything, I can live relatively comfortable, but um, not so much anymore, right? And it's okay by me. I'm like thinning out, which is good for my health, good for my looks. I cut my hair. My beard was getting like all out here, so I kind of took this off and left this. So I cleaned around my mouth and took all the hair that could get in my eyes when they operated it. And it was a real operation. They put me out. They put me in. It was. I went into a place where they checked me out before they brought me into an operating room, and then I went to an ICU, and then they let me go. And it took about 4 hours. And like I said, I look. You know, there is a marked difference between the two eyes. Right? So, and it's it can I could worry about all this, but what's worrying going to get me? Nothing. Right? Now, anyone wants to come and get me, take me on a ride. Let's go someplace where we could truly do something interesting. I mean, it's hard for me. It's I basically watch John's channel every now and then, and he puts up 2 or 3 shows a day, and he gets 30 to 100 people watch it, right? And he gets to monetize it, right? He's got commercials on it, and his mommy and daddy give him 20 grand a month, and he's always worrying about how he's going to pay his bills, right? And he should worry about what's going on with his kids, but he hasn't seen them in, well, let's just say 2015. So 15 to 20, that's 5 years, and then 2 more, it's 7 years. So they've grown up to teenagers. When they left, they were, 9 and 7, and now they are at 7 years. So the 7-year-old is 14, and the 9-year-old is, he's, 16, somewhere around there. So, so those kids were, you know, 7 and 9 to, 14 and 16, that whole thing where a boy needs his father the most, and John totally acquiesced his responsibility, and all he did was wrench his hand and go on and on, right? And at a certain point, so all around me, so here I'm probably have the least money than anybody around here, and yet everyone is freaking out about this, right? And they're all self-medicating, alcohol, drugs, food, sex inappropriately, um, and basically not being there for their families. I'm watching everyone around. There isn't anyone who's not being affected by this in a negative way. And are they, going into self-reflection? No, I don't see it at all. So without self-reflection, there can be no contemplation of the situation. Without contemplation of the situation, there is no rectification of the situation. And so we are just heading down the drain. And it's not like this hasn't happened before. You look at, Samaria, Mesopotamia, Babylon, Egypt, Greece, Rome, Spain, England, Portugal. All of these places have a dynamic that mirrors ours. Right? Now you throw in nuclear weapons, and see what people don't realize is that humans on this planet have been here a million years. When you look at our solar system, you can see that it was, and you look at our mythology, the Greek gods, the Nordic gods, they're all the same, and the Roman gods, they're all the same, and they mirror a picture of a system-wide, solar system-wide empire/war, right? And I think that's one reason why who's ever visiting us, whether it's time travels, dimensionals, or extraterrestrials, they are all treading lightly. They're not stepping into here. Let's us fix this, right? Because it's a spiritual experience that's going on. And if they were to get involved, now they can get involved, softly. They can go talk to individuals, right? And I've been meeting a number of people who have had um, visitations all their lives, right? And I'm pursuing that. I put one of them on audio on the show, about a week ago, and you know, we are at a very um, interesting time, right? And we are um, being manipulated by this unipolar um, cadre um, of transnational states. Catherine Austin Fitts, another person to go read her Solaris report. She goes with Mr. Bologna, and Joseph P. Farrell, a great scholar who we almost lost last year, and he kind of, but he's still smoking like a chimney. I mean, all these people who are, you know, if you're smoking a pack of cigarettes or cigars or herb or whatever you're smoking, find to ingest hot smoke, you know. And I can talk to you from experience that you know overdoing anything is not good, right? Now you can enjoy it. I did, I had a good 14 or so years of corporate hedonism, and I thought the end of the world was coming, and so I tried, for 35, 40 years to be the steward of love's co-creation, and then I kidded myself. Well, I'm being offered this opportunity to dive into this. I can just still be me and try to lead by example for the corporate world to do better. And I did. I was a little pebble in that pond, and I did have a positive effect on everything I did because I did my best. But still, I was just kidding myself, and that's why I gained 240 pounds and died. But I wasn't done, and this that I'm doing here on YouTube, I'm putting this energy into, um, shamanically into the World Wide Web, and I'm giving a outlet to a lot of people to speak to you. I'm going to do that more, and I'm going to figure out a better dynamic to go at this, and that'll be fine. I always do. I'm not worrying about this. But every time, I mean, something. Oh, look at that. I mean, I kind of depended on you guys to send things to my PayPal, which you still can. Put it there. Maybe I'll just start a PayPal. Maybe that's what PayPal is trying to have me do, is use them instead of whatever. So um, it's what it is, right? And you know, I'm not going to worry about it, and it always works out for the best. And I let love's co-creation. I serve at the behest of love's one love. You know, Nothing else. Not my ego. Not my needs. I'll be taken care of. I'm not. You know, not hungry. I'm not. Out in the middle of. I'm not getting wet. Well, it's been raining a lot here, and it's been doing good for my garden. So anyway, that's that's the story. You know, and uh, I put my glasses somewhere that I can't find them, so I can't see anything close up. But I look pretty good, you know, for a 70-year-old guy. I mean, more than 70. 70, a 70 plus guy, looking pretty good. Um, but, my dad looked pretty good in his 70s. I started taking care of him in his late 60s, early 70s, along with my mom. And my mom, I could live to be, to 2050. And gang, just think of what the world was in 1999, right? When we were all worrying about Y2K and what we have traveled to, right? Terrorism and the debauching of our Constitution through the Patriot Act and our militarization of the world. I mean, we already had done that, but we have totally doubled, tripled down. And Russia spends on its military $60 billion a year. That's what they did last year. That was what we spent in 3 weeks. We spent about $60 billion in 3 weeks. And since this war, we have sent $250 billion to the Ukraine. And just think what $250 billion could have given everyone in America a college education and sent all the kids to prep school and given everyone health care. We're the only country, we have the highest level of infant mortality in the industrial world. We have the highest level of mortality of women in the industrial world. We have the highest rate of mortality of people of color in the world, more than Africa. Now, Africa, all told, has more black people dying because they're all black. But in any of those little countries, per capita, we have a higher rate of mortality. And it goes on and on like that. And we're the richest country in the world. We're the freest country in the world. We have more people in jail, you know? Now, what do you think is going to happen with the end of Roe? On the average, 2 million babies were aborted every year. Right now, my teachers of the Eastern sect of Buddhism and Shintoism and other Eastern religions that I've studied basically say that a miscarriage or an aborted fetus is just a soul that needed a little more time to get ready to go over to wherever they were going to go. And because our Judeo Christian um, and Muslim is a Judeo Christian, it's a religion of the book. Um, Basically, their business plan is that you only got one shot at this, and we are the gatekeeper, right? The Jews, the Christians, the Muslims all say that, and the Muslims say it's the least. The Muslims are the most, the basis, the foundation of the Muslim religion is hospitality. Christianity, not so much, you know, because it's not based on Christ. It's based on Roman business empire, right? And the Hebrew, right, is you have to look at its shamanic frame to see the true essence of the Hebrew nation. Because the Hebrew nation is basically what you see in Israel, right? The Israel or the Jewish, and what is a Jew but a jeweler, right? That's where that term came from, because they were Hebrews before they were Jews, right? And Jews were the European uh, um, view of the Hebrew nation as they moved west into Europe, and they didn't have anything but bling and experience. So every time, like when the Hebrew nation went into Egypt, they weren't slaves per se; they were middle managers, you know. And when the burning bush, said to the um, Moses, "Hey, go get the Hebrew nation out of Egypt, save them from their oppression." And their oppression wasn't the Egyptians, their oppression was the Hebrew nation was going after the bling, right? They weren't slaves, they weren't cleaning out toilets, they were lawyers, judges, bankers, Indian chiefs, And don't believe a word I say. Go check it out for yourself. But no one does. No, I mean, we have this device. Google is the most amazing. I mean, it's a prejudicial piece of crap, and Google should be paying us more than, because we give them all our information free, you know, and they then go sell it to a third party. That's why they're constantly trying to upgrade your phone, because you're not going to read the six. Every time they do that, you have to agree to their little contract, which is 600 pages long, and no one reads that. Then you're basically selling your soul down the thing. So how about some thumbs up? How about some likes? How about some comments? Let's hear something from you guys. Do you care? No, you don't even care about yourself. You're mindless drones. You know, you want go look at John's channel. That's who you are. Go look at him. And it's all right. So you're focused on self-loathing, and you despise yourself and your children and your family, and you blame your parents. But you sign yourself away, as come on, I've been there, done it. It's just that I was awake while I was doing it. uh, you know I've basically used the excuse of, so I'm an itinerant scholar. I'm not a scholastic. I never wanted a job. It was always a contractual. I was a consultant, and yeah, they paid me really good. But now that I'm not consulting, and that basically, when I went back to my clientele, they all said I've been replaced by an app. Basically, so will you be. If you have a job now, I'm just looking around and see virtually I see robots that, they are going to be police, and they're not going to be nice police. My earlier show that went for about 2 hours today, I had my sister, one of my students who is truly a great adept, because she's gone through a lot of trials and tribulations. She was saying, you know. I'm a little out of sync here. And chunks that you can listen to. And, a lot of you watch it as, you know, wallpaper. And it does, because it's a shamanic, energetic, it's, it is referencing, right? And so maybe this will work. I can see it. Mm-mm. 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 Okay. Let's see. Let's see if he picks up. Let's see if it rings. Oh, there we go.
Hi.
Hey, there he is.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I'm on live chat. I was bringing you on as a guest.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure for how long I can talk, but
Okay.
I'll jump on.
Yeah. So, did you get my message about your music?
Something about that you listened to it, but not much else. I just barely glanced at the message.
Right. So I listened to it. First I listened to it, and I thought it was like a knockoff of Spinal Tap. But then I listened to it again and said no. So then, oh, maybe it's Manson. And I said no. And I just kept listening it. And what I heard was a number of things. One, what year did you produce that?
That was put out in, I think, about 2 years ago, maybe.
Oh,
No,
okay.
actually a little longer.
Okay, so you had access to some relatively better equipment because it almost sounded like you did that on one microphone.
Yeah, it was just recorded live in a pretty much a closet.
Right. And so it was very muddy,
Yeah, that's intentional.
right? And so,
Or I'll pretend it is.
so um, so I tried to listen to because in music, or at least my experience of working in commercial pop music and rock music and
Right.
folk music and all those things, because I worked at Electric Ladyland, Sun Dragon, and Blue Rock, and they were all pretty mainstream. Well, I mean, they were interesting studios. They had like Electric Ladyland was built for Jimi Hendrix, and
Sure, I've been there.
yeah, and so
I've seen the painting.
yeah,
He's right-handed. I've been there.
yeah. So the essence was you want to hear what the song, the any song has the lyric and the music,
Right.
and you have to be able to, and you know. A number of those bands of the late 90s, early O's that were interesting, like They Were Giants and a few others.
Yeah, they might be giants. Yeah, good group.
Good group. And there were others in that same genre that they were great musicians and their lyrics were really interesting too.
Yeah.
And everything was simple and clean and clear, very crisp. And I think that's why they were popular within their genre.
Yeah, it certainly helps.
So, right. And that is what we are missing in our culture. And
Simplicity.
and I'm seeing almost like de-evolutionary. Everything around us is kind of doing that. And where I'm at, I'm surrounded. It was a very truck farming, um, relatively niche thing in the 70s, and the average holler person made 17 to 25,000 a year, which is like maybe 100 grand today, right? So they did pretty good.
Right.
And then Bayer slash Monsanto slash this other company came in and destroyed the greatly diverse environment here. And I'm right in the corner of 3 counties and 2 states. Meaning, if I had long enough legs, I could be in 3 counties and 2 states. So, and I'm in a sawtooth mountain range of about 20 square miles, where the other mountains. So I'm squeezed between the Blue Ridge and the Appalachian, and I have a gigantic lake at one end, which was made because this is an amazingly paranormal doorway.
Nice.
And everybody and his brother is here. The aliens, the dimensionals, the time travelers, they're all here. And it's really interesting. They built a little dam and flooded this whole area called Butler because at the bottom of this valley was this doorway. And the federal government slash the unipolar transnational state didn't want anyone to have anything to do with them easily. So build a little dam, flood, 1,200 square miles of valley and mountains where these guys, because of all of these amazing caves. I mean, these little holes that you could barely squeeze through, you get through, and they went for hundreds of miles, and that had, gigantic spaces bigger than football stadiums. And in it, artifacts. And once people started, like me, poking around in that, couldn't have that. So they flooded everything. So you can't get there.
Oh, my goodness.
And then they surrounded the whole area. The dam there, it's a hydro, but I mean, it's got, a teeny weeny little generator, couldn't do 3, but they ringed the whole valley with 980 lines, 9,800,000 volts, meaning they put up electromagnetic fence to keep things in.
Wow,
Yeah.
that stinks.
And there's all kinds of, and, so I'm bumping into people who are having constant, close encounters with everything you can think. Bigfoot. This one neighbor I know, she was sitting on her bench on her porch, and the sun's going down, and she kind of smoking a cigar. She leans down to get something, looks up, and there's Bigfoot
Wow.
standing right there, right? And she's like, and she doesn't have her phone, she doesn't have her camera, she doesn't have anything. She looks around, she's trying to figure out what to do. And in the little movement of her head to one side and then went back, it was gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
So it's those guys are dimensionals. He just walked through it.
Little sliver.
Yep. Anyway, she looked down, and he left a footprint. And so she had a bag of plaster of Paris. So she mixed it up, put it in there, and it was like soft, loamy, kind of not quite muddy, but it made a really great imprint. And then she filled it full of plaster of Paris and pulled it out, and it is like a photograph. It's like unbelievable. Every little, hair and every little thing of its foot and all its toes and you name it. And she brought it to ETSU, and the guy looked at it and said, "Whoa, just hide this. Don't tell anyone you have this. Just I'm not. Go away." And ETSU is a pretty serious university. I mean, big tech, big research, big. And whereas on the other side is App State, which is more a party school. But it too is not a bad school, but it's more a party school.
Right.
And she took it around to different people, and nobody wanted to touch it with a 10-foot because it was such an amazing piece of artifact. And that's just one story. I have a ton. I put a guy on who has been, since he was 12, visited. And they tell him what's going on and show him all kinds of things and basically say, well, you are in a, and they use he said, they use the term, you're policed, meaning the human race is being policed, like kept in jail.
Yeah.
And that's what our planet is.
Prison planet.
Prison planet. Now we can distract ourselves, and that's what I'm seeing. All the people around me who are, and all these people who are somewhat know what's going on, they are self-medicating themselves seriously.
Oh yeah.
And that's what you experienced. And that's, so the bottom line, so I kept listening to your song, and the bottom part of what I saw that song was about self-loathing.
Which one?
Yours.
Which song?
Oh, the first one.
of them.
I didn't hear all of them. I just picked one and just kept playing it over and over.
Well, I'm assuming it was the first.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's written when I had been released from rehab, and it was encountering somebody that I was involved with who was still getting high.
Right.
And that's where there's the line towards the end. It says, I was running, I said a prayer for you, girl, underneath my breath, but I was really running from death.
Right.
Yeah. So,
so that's our society. And
I'm still alive.
Right. Well, that's
I'm
because
still
you're meant to do something,
Yeah, no, it's a great. I'm glad that's actually the first song I'd written lyrics for that many years ago. Actually, in recent, in early sobriety, and then when I ran into those fellas, we have no guitar, so it's a bass,
right,
a drum, and loops, like sample loops,
right,
and they just were jamming. My audition was they jammed. They just said, "Hey, just start singing something." I had a notebook and just
right.
That's what came out, and they allowed me the opportunity to join them. And, Yeah, that's a very, it's a pretty primitive recording. Hopefully, as my bass player becomes more like hip to using more modern equipment and stuff, we'll get a little bit better in that area, which I don't doubt because, my bass player, Andy, he's, in my mind, he's like an artistic genius because he makes that thing sound like a guitar.
Right.
So he's like a master, and he works great with the melody lines that I come up with. We all three of us really gel together. So I took a bit of a hiatus, but I'm slowly working my way back into the group.
Well, only thing you need to do recording, because you can make an
But I'm
amazing.
glad you liked it, though.
Right.
Glad you liked it.
Is you guys need to get some better mics. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you can put it on whatever medium you put it on because digitally is digitally, and it's.
Well, I can send you the YouTube one. Might sound a little better, but not by much.
Right.
It's pretty much the same thing.
Right. But I listened to it a number of times to deconstruct it, and
wow. Well, check out some of the other songs.
Okay.
They're very varied.
Right.
Sonically, they're very varied.
Okay.
And vocally.
Okay. But I spent a lot of time, not a lot, but all the time
anytime
with the first song, and I wasn't going to go on I didn't realize I could go on to the next one. I mean, that is A, I'm kind of blind, and B, I am not. See, one of the problems with so I was in scholarly institutions, and I always had my lab rats, meaning grad students, and they did everything for me. All my computer work, all my this, all my that. So I never. I mean, I kind of know how to do it, but I'm not adroit at it. Now that I'm kind of blind and I can't even see, and like my laptop has a black background. And
well, if I send you the YouTube, you don't even have. You just let her play all
the way through, right? So,
all the way through,
right. So I'll do that.
I can do that for you.
So the and the graphics, I like the graphics.
Yeah, I did that. That wasn't the intention of that particular piece, but Andy, he liked it, and he said, "Can I use it?" And I said, "Absolutely."
So that was an old.
I have a whole series of stuff like that of that particular pattern.
Right.
That I created when I was going through some serious struggles with faith and the universe. And so I'm glad you liked it. Cool.
And that was somewhat a number of years ago that piece was made.
That one I made it's a series, I think about 2015. That was when I changed careers, when I left TV and I wound up doing what I'm doing now.
What did you do in TV?
I was a technician, a broadcast technician. I made sure that the signal went up on the air. The last job doing that full time, I was what they call a network operations or NOC operator.
Right.
And basically the company I worked for was a fiber provider for, we were basically a vendor for like all the major TV networks and some of the cable stuff. Yeah. So we just made sure they had connectivity. That was my gig. I became the supervisor doing that. And
were you in any of the unions?
I do have a frozen union card for Local 1212,
right,
which was the videotape operators.
Yes.
Union, which was connected to the electricians.
Yep, I was in Local 3.
Only freelancers.
I was in Local 3. I was also in NABITH and IATSE.
Yeah.
And I was, a movie electrician. The guy who didn't run the gen. I made sure that all the electricity worked. The motor was somebody else, but I did all the electric, and I had been schooled as a cinematographer and a lighting designer for theater. So I had done all of that. And I worked for Metro Media before Fox bought them out.
Channel 5, that's right.
Channel 5. and I did a lot of stuff out of Manhattan Cable. I had a lot of shows there in the 70s and 80s.
They were a network.
Yep. So I kind of that, and I also worked when I was in Local 3. I did a lot of specialty stuff. I wasn't just the guy bending the pipe or putting the fixture up or wiring a panel. I did a lot of specialty stuff, and before fiber, there was microwave, and Lower Manhattan.
There was still going on, even in the aughts.
Right.
We're still using it like for remotes. Stuff.
Right, but
like
not for TV. I did it for communications with banks.
Interesting.
When they wanted secure, when they were just getting into ATMs before fiber was around, they wanted secure data links and digital, and microwave was the only way to go. So I hung off the sides of lots of buildings, calibrating microwave antennas, and everything from the Battery to 125th Street was like a microwave oven because there was flares everywhere. The shit was bouncing all over the universe, and it wasn't quite the same. And there were no standards either. That was there was no FCC or even the medical standards weren't there. So it was like a Wild West. And,
yeah. Do you remember Ugly George?
Oh yeah.
See you tomorrow. Just let my boss know. Getting ready for shutting down for the day. Yeah, Ugly George, man.
He was a trip. He was like
I don't know if he's still alive.
Really? So
I don't know. He might be. You never know.
If you knew Ugly George, did you know Adam Purple?
I knew of them. I didn't know them personally, but yeah, Adam Purple was the gardener, Lower East Side.
Right. And he was way more than that. He was a beatnik. He was a really interesting guy because when he was 17, he wanted to get into World War II in the worst way. So he couldn't quite make it into the military, so he joined the Merchant Marines, and he did it early, and like in 42-ish. And the Navy kind of took it over, and he became a naval officer. And so he was a commander, which is pretty, high up in the ranks of the Navy. It's like a colonel in the Army. And he saw us, and he was in legit because he was still in the Merchant Marine. So he's shipping shit all over the place. So he actually saw what was going on, what war was going to happen. Like when they were piling all the shit to like attack Japan, and then they dropped a bomb and that didn't happen. They sent all that shit to China and North Korea to ferment, and also Vietnam to ferment those wars.
Wow.
And also sent it to the Middle East. So it was quite interesting. And so he came back really, he had a chest full of medals, and he got to go to college. I mean, he went to, I met him at NYU when I was 16, trying to learn how to play chess down in Washington Square. And he would make, $40-50 an afternoon playing clock chess with professors and lawyers and stuff. And so,
is he still alive?
I don't think so, because he was pretty old when he was one of my mentors.
Yeah, I mean, if he'd been close to draft age in World War II, he'd be fairly old.
Yeah, he was. Yes, in the aughts, he was probably. So I'm sitting on my my neighbor's porch. He's a nice enough guy to let me use his Wi-Fi, so I don't have to drive 40 miles. And I hear a car coming. I don't know if it's coming up here. If it is, renting it out to somebody, so I'd have to pack up. But if they don't, I'll just keep going. I don't know.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so
I want to hear from you today.
Yeah, I tried a few others, and I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, and it's only catch as catch can if I get a signal, and I got it. So
Yeah, I figured that.
yeah, give you a buzz.
No,
So
it's cool, man.
what's
Stay in
going
touch.
on in New York now? How's everyone dealing with the weird world?
Well, there was a lot of activity, after the Supreme Court ruling, as far as protests and
Right.
things like that, which I don't really involve myself in, but certainly observed quite a bit.
Right.
To be honest with you, I just kind of keep to myself.
Right. Well, I've been as a observer of the universe, as a sociologist, anthropologist, psychologist, all that shit. They're my lab rats. I just watch it, and when the shit
the
happens, hold on a sec.
If I lose you, I will call you right
I'm gonna
back.
have to go. So I'm going to sign off here because
Oh, okay.
the neighbors, the people showed up, so I'm gonna go. So, okay, kid, I'll talk to you later. I'll try and call you later tonight if I have a signal.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Great hearing from you, Al. Thank
Okay.
you. All right, bye-bye.
Yep. Oh.